The settlement square fell silent as Elder Henrik raised his hand. Winter had already begun, and the crowd knew the sentence before it was spoken.
Liam Voss, you have been found guilty by the council. You and your daughter are hereby banished from this settlement. Leave now, or the cold will take you.
I saw him steal from the storehouse. My own eyes. He thought no one was watching.
You are condemning a child to die. Henrik, you know this is a lie. I never stole anything.
Papa, where are we going? I am scared.
The guards pushed them toward the gate. Mara Holt turned away, unable to watch. The heavy timber doors swung shut behind them with a final, hollow thud. Outside the walls, the world was white and silent. Liam wrapped his coat tighter around Sophia and started walking into the storm.
Papa, it's so cold. Are we going to die?
Number. I won't let that happen. Keep your head down and hold on.
Behind them, the settlement lights vanished into the blizzard. Ahead, only frozen earth and a promise Liam didn't yet know he would have to keep with his bare hands. Liam pushed on through deepening drifts, carrying Sophia when she could walk no farther. The sky turned iron gray, and the wind began to shriek.
Papa, I can't feel my feet.
Just a little farther. Look, there against the ridge.
A jagged shelf of rock jutted from the hillside, creating a shallow alcove. It was barely shelter, but it broke the wind. They stumbled inside.
Sit here. I'll gather firewood. We'll make it through this night.
While Sophia huddled beneath the rock, Liam clawed at the frozen creek bank, exposing dense reddish soil. He turned it over in his fingers.
My father used to speak of whole houses built from earth, walls 2 feet thick that held the sun's heat long after dark.
From dirt? Like a castle?
Stronger than any wood cabin. We'll need clay and gravel from the creek, timber for forms, but we can build it.
That night, as the wind screamed outside the alcove, Liam held his daughter close and stared at the soil in his palm. The first seeds of a fortress were already rooted in his mind. By first light, Liam had already sawed timber into planks and bolted them into 2 parallel frames. The formwork stood ready on the frozen ground, an empty shell waiting to be filled.
Tamp it wet, pack it tight. The earth will lock together hard as stone.
Will it be like the big houses in the settlement?
Liam drove the heavy tamping rod down in rhythmic blows. Muscles burning, breath steaming, he compressed damp soil into a dense, solid mass, inch by relentless inch.
If I stop, she freezes. Every strike is a heartbeat.
Sophia dragged a small bucket of creek gravel, her boots slipping on ice. She poured it into the mixing pit and looked up at her father, waiting for the next task.
Papa, it's so heavy. My arms hurt.
I know, little bird, but every bucket makes this wall stronger. We'll rest when the sun sets.
By dusk, 2 feet of layered earth stood like a monument, striped with colored bands of clay, soil, and gravel. The wall was barely begun, but it already felt immovable. Liam wiped frozen sweat from his brow and stared at the tiny fortress to be. The work had just begun, but in that moment, the impossible felt like a debt he would somehow pay. 3 mornings later, the sky curdled into a bruised purple. A sudden gust flipped the mixing tarp, and the first stinging pellets of snow arrived sideways.
Sophia, get under the wall. I need to tie this down.
He lashed the canvas over the waist-high rammed earth, wrapping rope around stakes he had driven into the frozen ground. The half-built shell became a cave barely tall enough to sit upright.
Papa, the snow is getting in. It's so cold.
I'll block it. Put your face against my coat. This wall already cuts the wind, just a little longer.
Night fell inside the storm. Liam felt Sophia's small body trembling against him, a cough rattling from her chest. He pressed his palm against the earthen wall. It was cool, not frozen.
This wouldn't last in a tent. The earth is saving us a degree at a time. But She can't take another night of this.
The blizzard howled 20 more hours before it broke. Liam crawled out first, dragging Sophia into a world of blinding white. The tarp had frozen solid, but the walls stood unmoved.
I am so tired, Papa.
Liam pulled her onto his back again, scanning the gray horizon. The walls had passed their first test, but Sophia's chill was now his clock, and time was running faster than ever. In the settlement, the banishment had become a cold footnote. Mara Holt stood by the frozen well, staring east.
Elder Henrik, has anyone seen the Voss girl's body? This silence feels wrong.
The wilderness answers to no counsel. If they perished, it's on Liam's hands.
They believed me, but my tongue tastes like ash every morning.
2 leagues away, Liam reset the forms. Walls rose chest high, and Sophia's cough had softened.
Papa, I fetched water. The ice broke easy today.
Good. We'll need every hour before the next storm.
He tamped another layer. Behind him, Sophia sorted pebbles, her fingers pink but moving. The walls now enclosed a space, open only to the sky. A true house grew, but winter's teeth hadn't bared again. At the settlement, Mara's words hung in the cold air. Geoffrey, however, stopped drinking and began writing in his ledger. A deep roar swallowed the wind. The true blizzard struck before Liam could frame the roof, burying the site in white chaos.
Sophia, inside. Forget the tarp. The walls will have to hold.
They crouched in the roofless shell. The thick earth broke the wind, and a small fire crackled without guttering.
Papa, I can't hear the wind screaming anymore. It's just humming.
The walls are taking the bite out of it. The earth remembers the fire's warmth.
All night the storm raged. Snow packed against the outer face. But inside, the ground stayed dry and the air held a stubborn heat.
2 feet of dirt and clay. It's holding heat like a banked hearth. We could survive the whole winter in this if we finish the roof.
When the snow stopped falling, Liam shoved the door space open. A curved drift wrapped the walls like a fortress, but the interior was clear.
Look, little bird, the storm built us a bank. The earth throws back the cold.
He stood in the calm air of his unfinished home and knew the ancient secret worked. Now, only the sky needed a lid. Liam sawed timber for the roof beams, his breath clouding in the thin cold. Sophia stacked stones for a chimney base, her cough a memory.
We'll cover it with earth. Same as the walls. No wind will sneak through.
Papa, the house feels like a big warm blanket now.
By the week's end, the roof was sealed, and smoke rose steady from the chimney 10 miles away. Thomas Redding studied the northern horizon and felt the air turn sharp as glass.
Elder, those clouds aren't drifting. They're gathering for a killing blow.
Our cabins have stood through worse. We've inspected the beams.
Something's different this year. Even the animals have gone silent.
Henrik waved them off, but the settlement's logs were already creaking under early frost. In his earthen walls, Liam heard no creaking, only the fire and his daughter humming. Inside the earth house, the walls radiated stored warmth. Liam carved a birchwood toy, Sophia watching with heavy eyes.
What are you making, Papa?
A bird, like the one by the creek. It stayed when the others flew south.
The first flakes fell on the settlement, softly, then in dense sheets. Geoffrey stared from his window, heart hammering.
This storm is a judgment. It will bury us for what I did.
He rushed out and grabbed Thomas by the arm near the well. Redding had to listen.
The trial. It wasn't. I didn't.
The confession died in his chest. He spun away, leaving Thomas staring after him in confusion. Back in the earthen home, Sophia held the finished bird, feeling its smooth wings. It's warm, Papa. The walls stood quiet, holding heat as the storm outside began its siege. The great blizzard slammed the plains with a force that flattened fir trees. Inside the rammed earth house, the fire barely flickered.
Papa, the walls are humming, but it's soft. I am not afraid.
The earth is holding. This house won't betray us.
In the settlement, the wind pried at shutters and tore at roof planks. The cabins groaned like wounded animals.
Everyone to the storehouse, leave your homes.
A cabin roof near the square peeled away in one violent sheet, timbers spinning into the white. People screamed.
Grab the children. Get to the stone cellar.
10 miles east, the earth house sat solid in the blizzard. Its walls drew deep on the stored heat of the earth.
I can hear the storm, but it sounds like a river far away.
Go back to sleep, little bird. The earth will keep us.
Jeffrey Calder's cabin buckled. Beams snapped, and the roof plunged, pinning him beneath splintered timber and snow.
Help. Someone. I can't move. The beams are crushing me.
That's Calder's place. Grab shovels. Dig him out.
Thomas and 2 others clawed at the wreckage, their hands freezing as fresh snow whipped into their faces.
I don't want to die with this weight on my soul. Not like this.
10 miles east, Liam pressed his palm against the earthen wall. It held no tremor, no cold seeping through.
Not even a shiver. 2 feet of earth stand against the wind.
Sophia slept curled beneath wool blankets, the carved bird tucked beside her.
The settlement would never believe this, but it doesn't matter now.
Outside, the blizzard still raged, but inside, the walls stood silent and immovable, guarding a truth the storm could not swallow. Thomas finally wrenched the last frozen plank aside and knelt beside the pinned man. The wind howled through the shattered walls.
Calder, keep breathing. We have you.
I lied. Liam Voss never stole a thing. I envied him, his skill, his daughter's trust. I couldn't bear it.
Thomas stilled. For a long moment he only stared, then pulled a stub of pencil and a scrap of paper from his coat.
Write it down, before I lose the nerve.
Thomas wrote each word, his face hardening. The confession was brief and damning, the storm's roar softened by a degree. They lifted Jeffrey clear of the wreckage as others gathered around. By morning, whispers of what Jeffrey had said were threading through the shivering survivors, huddled in the storehouse. But Liam and the girl were still out there, presumed dead. The truth felt like a second burden. For now, the confession remained a secret parchment in Thomas's pocket, and the settlement had yet to reckon with what it meant. Morning broke pale over a settlement half buried in wreckage. Henrik stood in the square, counting broken cabins and missing faces.
The Voss family. We cast them out, and now the storm has claimed them before we could see the truth. We will send a party to find their bodies. They deserve a proper burial.
I'll lead it. I owe them that much.
Thomas gathered rope, lanterns, and 2 volunteers. He said nothing of the confession in his pocket.
When I find them, the whole settlement will learn the truth. This piece of paper will be their only funeral.
The 3 men pushed through the gate into an ocean of white. The snow was still fresh, the wind a steady moan.
They headed east. That was the last direction anyone saw them walk.
The settlement watched them disappear into the gray curtain, some crossing themselves, unsure if they were sending a burial party or a second execution. But Thomas had not gone to bury the dead. He had gone looking for a reckoning. The search party had been wading through drifts for hours, their breath frosting the air. Hope was thinning with the daylight.
There, smoke. Someone's alive out here.
A thin gray column rose against the darkening clouds, bending in the wind but never breaking. They crested a low ridge and saw it. A squat, thick-walled structure, half buried in snow, with a chimney puffing steadily.
That's no cabin. That's solid.
Inside, Liam froze, a voice muffled by the thick walls, but unmistakably human.
Sophia, stay back. Behind the bed, could be outlaws driven off by the storm. Just keep the door shut.
Heavy footsteps crunched to a halt just outside. Then 3 hard knocks shook the heavy timber door. Liam raised the tamping rod and stared at the door. The reckoning had come to him. Liam took one steadying breath, lowered the rod, and pulled the heavy door inward. Warmth and light rushed out into the cold.
Voss, you are alive? Both of you.
Sophia peeked from behind the bed, clutching the wooden bird. Thomas stared at her, then at the fire, the thick walls.
How? This place should have been your grave.
Earth. 2 feet of it. The cold never got in.
Thomas fumbled inside his coat and pulled out the crumpled confession, his hand trembling.
Calder confessed. Before the storm took his cabin, he lied about the storehouse.
Liam's face went slack, then rigid. Sophia slipped her small hand into his, and the rage trembling in his fingers stilled.
Papa, what does it mean?
It meant the world had shifted. The weight of the past pressed against the earthen walls now, demanding an answer. Liam ladled stew into clay bowls. Thomas and his men sat on the packed earth bench, their frozen hands cradling the warmth.
This wall, it's like stone, but it was just dirt.
Thomas described the settlement. Cabins collapsed, families without shelter, Henrik shaken.
We'll lose more to the next storm. You could teach us this. Save whoever's left.
Save them. They threw me out like garbage. They can freeze.
Papa, shouldn't we help? They're cold like we were.
Liam looked at the confession in his hand, then at Sophia, then at the thick walls that had kept them alive.
If I go back, I am building their future. Why should I?
For the children, Voss. Not for the council.
Liam set the bowl down. The choice was his, and the silence in the room was heavier than the snow outside.
I'll teach you to build from earth, but not for free. Calder will confess before the whole settlement. Publicly. And I get a seat on the council.
You'll have it. On my word, Liam. They'll hear the truth.
They shook hands over the fire, the pact sealed in the warmth that Liam had carved from the frozen ground.
Papa, should I pack my bird?
Yes, little bird, we're going home.
Sophia gathered her few treasures. The wooden bird nestled in a sack, her face a mix of excitement and solemnity.
We leave at first light. The sooner we show them, the more lives we save.
Liam's gaze fell on the tamping rod, leaning against the hearth like an old friend. The conditions were set. At dawn they would walk into the very settlement that had expelled them, and the reckoning would be on his terms. The journey back was slow and silent. Liam carried Sophia on his back, and Thomas walked beside them, his eyes full of questions.
You said the walls store heat. How can plain earth do that?
It's simple. The earth is a blanket. 2 feet of it keeps the cold out and the fire's warmth in.
They crested the last rise and saw the settlement gutted. Collapsed cabins, scattered belongings.
He's alive. Liam Voss is alive, and he has Sophia.
Elder Henrik pushed through the gathering crowd, his eyes glassy. He stopped a few paces from Liam, then slowly removed his fur cap.
Liam, we were told you had frozen. The council. I have no words.
No words will rebuild this place. I am here to teach, not to forgive.
Sophia tightened her grip on his hand, her wide eyes taking in the shattered cabins and huddled families. The crowd drew closer, waiting. The man they had banished stood at the center now, and their survival depended on what he would do next. Thomas climbed onto a broken crate in the center of the square and held the crumpled confession high for all to see.
I was envious of Liam Voss, his skill, his daughter's trust. So I lied. He never stole, and I let him be banished.
2 guards hauled Geoffrey Calder out of the storehouse. His wrists were bound, his face ashen. A woman spat at his feet. He didn't look up.
Liam, we failed you. I failed you. Please, for the children who still shiver in the cold, teach us how to build like you did.
I'll show you, but the walls will be 2 feet thick. No shortcuts, and every home will have a hearth.
A murmur of relief washed through the crowd. Mara Holt pressed her hands together, tears freezing on her cheeks.
Papa, will we have our own house here too?
The strongest one, with walls that will outlast every timber cabin here.
That same day, the first wooden forms were pegged into the frozen ground. The settlement, for the first time, began to build with earth instead of wood. Over the following days, Liam taught the settlement the secrets of the soil, how to test for clay, mix gravel, and tamp each layer, until it rang like stone.
Feel the grit when you rub it. Too sandy, and it crumbles. Too much clay, and it cracks. We want earth that holds together when wet.
Men and women who had once turned their backs now worked side by side, driving tamper after tamper into the wooden forms.
Papa, look! I am building a little wall for my bird.
Then your bird will be warm all winter. Just like we will be.
You've changed everything, Voss. Even the old hands are listening now.
They listen because they're cold. Fear is a better teacher than I am.
The first new earthen house rose in 6 days, its thick walls already warming from the central hearth.
I never imagined dirt could hold such warmth. We owe you more than we can repay.
By the time the next frost hardened the ground, 6 earth homes stood where broken cabins had been, and the settlement had found a new heartbeat. When the winter returned, it screamed across the valley, but the sound that answered back was not the groan of breaking timber. Inside the new earthen homes, the thick walls held, and the hearths glowed steady. The few remaining timber cabins shivered under the weight of snow, their frames twisting, cold seeping through every gap. Liam walked the snow-packed lanes between the houses, his lantern a small sun in the whiteout. Every wall he touched was warm, every foundation solid. The earth had not betrayed them. When the storm broke, Henrik stood beside Liam at the settlement gate, his fur cap clutched in both hands.
You saved us, Voss. Every soul owes you a debt we can never repay.
The earth saved you. I merely showed you how to listen.
He looked toward the distant ridge, where his own house still stood, smoke curling from its chimney. The cold had never gotten in. It never would again. That night, in their own earthen home, the fire painted golden shapes on the thick walls.
Papa? Is the bad man gone forever?
He can't hurt anyone now. The truth is stronger than any lie he told.
She leaned into his shoulder, and he felt the steady warmth of the walls around them, holding the cold at bay. Liam rose and brushed the frost from the window. Outside, the rebuilt settlement lay silent and whole. The rammed earth houses stood like sentinels in the moonlight, smoke drifting peacefully from their chimneys.
This is our home now, isn't it?
Yes, little bird. The earth gave us a home when no one else would.
He turned back to the thick walls, placed his hand on the cool, solid earth, and listened to the silence. Outside, winter howled on. But inside, the cold never got in. When the thaw came, the creeks ran clear, and the first green shoots pushed through the snow beside the earthen walls. The thick walls, frozen and thawed, stood without a crack, the same walls that had weathered the blizzard. The settlement had changed its shape. Fewer timber cabins, more low, wide houses of earth, each with its own plume of smoke. Children ran between the homes, their laughter no longer swallowed by the wind. Liam's original house remained at the eastern edge, its door open, its hearth never cold. Elder Henrik had ordered the last timber cabins reinforced, but the people already trusted the earth more than wood. The mountains still wore snow, and winter would return. But the valley no longer feared it, for in every wall, a fire had been kindled, and the earth held its memory. From banishment to bedrock, the story had gone full circle. The outcast had become the cornerstone, and in the deepest freeze, those 2-foot walls whispered the only promise that mattered. The cold never got in.